All right, joining us next on the show today, this big Tuesday edition of the Steak for Breakfast podcast, he's the Republican running to replace Kevin McCarthy in California's 20th Congressional District. Very excited to be sitting down for the first time with Mr. David Giglio. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, this is an exciting race. It's one of the most important in the country and one of the most important elections in our nation's history. So I'm glad to be here.
Now, it's pretty funny with a lot of these candidates. You know, there's a House seat down in Texas. There's a few other throughout the country, one in Colorado. All guests that we're tracking on the show as that we're going to be primary challengers. But as we enter into the holiday season, it seems some of these longstanding and maybe even Rhino establishment, K Street tied House representatives, including the former speaker, has decided to call it a career and move into the lobbying side of the House now publicly. And it makes your race a little bit of a different dynamic. But from when you've launched to where you're at today, let the listenership know, what does the district look like? What is the vibe there? And what are the people now looking for that a longstanding congressman is going to be retiring from the House of Representatives and enter David Giglio into this race as the potential replacement?
Well, it's, when everybody thinks of California, immediately they roll their eyes if you're a conservative. But this is MAGA country. This would be a red district in a red state. It's America first through and through. It's Trump country. It's where Larry Elder racked up tons of votes
Correct.
in the recall. So it's Bakersfield up to Fresno. It was pretty much gerrymandered by the independent commission, which, when Democrats have independent commissions, you know what that means. They wanted to put all the Republicans in one seat. And of course, they gave it to Kevin McCarthy because he was planning on being there forever. No, I'm the only candidate in this race that got in to challenge Kevin McCarthy. And I like to think that Kevin got scared and decided he didn't want to have a challenge. He didn't want to have an America First primary. So he cut his tail and ran. But I do know that Kevin cares about one thing only. It was power. And losing that gavel destroyed him. He had delusions, and the people that fund him here, his handlers, they had delusions that he was going to be president. So Kevin clearly didn't care enough about the people of the Central Valley. If he didn't have the gavel, he cut and ran. It's an open seat now. Just because Kevin is gone in body doesn't mean Kevin is gone in mind and spirit. Kevin is inserting surrogates into this race. He does not want a true ally of President Trump representing California's 20th Congressional District. And I say this is one of the most important races because we imagine if we can replace the former America Last Speaker seat with a real MAGA ally of President Trump. It would be such a kick in the pants to the establishment and would let them know that we are winning this fight because President Trump is going to win next year. And we can't have a repeat of 2016. Half the battle is electing President Trump. But the other part is making sure when he wins again, he has real allies in Congress that aren't going to thwart his agenda. Because when he went in 2016, he had the House and the Senate, and it was full of rhinos who said, nope, we don't have money for the wall. Nope, we can't repeal Obamacare. They thwarted his agenda. We can't have that this time around. The stakes are too high.
Now, Kevin McCarthy historically has always said the right things, but then gone up to Congress and done the exact opposite. We know that he's gone back to district and saying, well, in a vote-based system, it's kind of the way it works. You have to be a unifier. You have to be able to reach across the aisle. But all it does is promote and eventually, turn into legislation for Joe Biden. America Last policies, we're talking about the budget, even things like the NDAA, which passed last week under Speaker Johnson, but had Kevin McCarthy's hands all over it when you see of the Republicans who voted for it. Now, when you're going out to the district right now and telling them that there's going to be literally a night and day change from the Republican that's going to be representing California 20 moving forward, how is it that the constituents are responding to you going out there and saying, like, listen, this guy said all of the right things for so many years, but look what he got done. I'm willing to go to Washington, D.C. and up on Capitol Hill, make that sacrifice and actually make these changes for the American people?
Well, that's what makes our candidacy so special. And I say ours because this is for all of us. My
Sure.
name goes on the ballot, but I didn't have to get back into politics. I did this because I wanted to show people that there are ordinary people willing to step up, take on the biggest dog in the fight. The grassroots people, the actual voters are excited. They've been neglected. I can't tell you how many people are just frustrated. They've lost faith in Washington. They've lost faith in their elected leaders on both sides of the aisle. They're tired of this ruling class that is leaving them behind. And they want people who have no loyalties to anybody but them. And that's what I offer that nobody else offers. So they're excited. The problem is, Kevin is like a mafia boss. Kevin will say and do anything for power. And he attached himself to Trump because that was the best way to elevate himself. He never really liked Trump. He's been spending years sabotaging Trump. I've seen it firsthand in California. He's been hosting, his donors have been hosting fundraisers for Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott. everybody but Trump. Okay. And Kevin is going around. These people that fund these campaigns, they don't give a dime. They don't take a breath without Kevin's permission. So our battle is, like I said, just because Kevin's gone, I'm still up against the McCarthy machine. Kevin hates me. Kevin does not want me to have this seat. So we're running grassroots, but I'm 100% confident we don't have to compete with them dollar for dollar. The only thing we have to do is raise enough money so when everyone gets their ballot, they know who will win in a landslide because the people have had enough. They are ready for change. We are going to give it to them.
No, I can't agree with you more. And, we look at so many of these other candidates who have frequented the show lately. We've got John O'Shea down in Texas today. He's running in the seat that's now vacated by Kay Granger, another pivotal seat that, is going to be up for grabs in next year's election cycle. We've also had people like Joe Kent and Bo Hines, and, we've had Sandy Smith, J.R. Majewski. Matt Gaetz, just as recently as this weekend, talked at AmFest about the vote-based system in the House of Representatives. The American people like to give those America First House reps a hard time, but they don't understand. When you've got to whip 75, 80 votes when you have the majority and you think it's legislation that's going to be positive for the American people, it makes it almost an impossibility, to be able to get anything passed. I'm still surprised that they were able to pass H.R. 1 and H.R. 2 in the House last year. But the fact of the matter is, moving forward, I think you hit on it correctly. Heading into next year's election cycle, if we don't take back the Senate in a very favorable Republican-sided map and retain power in the House, if Donald Trump wins back the White House like we all assume he's going to do here on Steak for Breakfast, it's going to make his job just that much harder and be a complete do-over of when Nancy Pelosi held the speaker gavel again.
Well, yeah, this is the problem. That's why I said all Republicans aren't created equal. Listen, I know everybody is a Republican, wants to be loyal to Republican candidates, but we really have to realize that there really is this thing called the Uniparty. A lot of Republicans will say and do anything because they want to keep their cushy gigs in Washington, but they're actually people like Kevin McCarthy. They're taking money from the lobbyists, from Silicon Valley, from Wall Street, from all the people who are paying them not to implement America First policies. So we really have to evaluate candidates. And those candidates you mentioned, Joe Kent, J.R. Majewski, Kevin McCarthy spent millions destroying them last cycle simply because they were aligned with President Trump. So listen, President Trump's going to be under siege from day one. Winning for him is half the battle because they are going to look to do anything they can to stop him. They're already passing bills to prevent him from unconstitutional bills, by the way, to prevent him from removing the U.S. from NATO.
Sure.
That stuff is not going to end when he wins. And if you think Republicans, we had 10 Republicans who voted to impeach him last time.
Correct.
A lot of them staunch allies of Kevin McCarthy. Kevin actually spent millions saving many of those people in primaries. David Valadao and Joe Kent's opponent spent millions to try and save all those people because they don't want change. So listen, when we go to the ballot, we have to evaluate it because there are two types of Republican parties right now. You have this old school establishment country club Republican Party that really only cares about serving themselves and serving their donors. Then you have these America First movements that believe in President Trump's message that want to deliver real change to the American people, the party of the working class, the party of middle class America, the party of small business. Those are the candidates we have to support because we're never going to get the change unless we back those candidates. And Kevin McCarthy and the people at the RNC, they hate that because, they don't really have any interest in doing that. But they're on the losing end of this. He lost his speakership. Matt Gaetz is 100% right. Imagine if we can get Matt Gaetz 10 more America First fighters, right?
Truth.
Then we get 15 more the next cycle. We keep picking this off, we'll win.
No, it's the truth. And, one thing Republicans have had such a hard time with over the years, we're finally starting to see him use it a little bit. I saw it in the speakership fight. I see it in the Joe Biden impeachment inquiry and where that's going moving forward. I see it on border security and the fact that Mike Johnson said a few weeks ago, listen, if Joe Biden's not going to do what he needs to do to shut down the border, then the House of Representatives is closed for business when the CR expires.
And Kevin could have done that.
100% agree with you. But the Republicans are finally starting, and it's hard, and especially when you're going through growing pains in the party, to play the long game, but we're finally starting to do it. I definitely think you're a part of the problem, and we want our listenership to be able to support you in any way, shape, or form they can. So, David, as we're getting ready to wrap with you today, can you please tell us where can they find you on social media, where your campaign website is at, and what they could do to help out?
Yeah, visit my website. It's davidagigio.com. You can follow me on Twitter and all the socials at davidgigloca. Listen, anything you can give us helps. We're fighting grassroots, $5, $10, $25, $1,000, whatever you can give. Every dollar counts. So davidagiglo.com/donate. We're going to win this thing and we're going to bring real change and we're going to kick him in the pants. Thanks for having me.
No, this guy's bringing real change. He's looking to bring America First back to California's 20th House District congressional seat. This is the man looking to replace Kevin McCarthy and make it great again. Mr. David Giglio, thanks for coming on the show and have a fantastic Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you guys, too.